Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of Haslet's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, June 27th. The time is 6:31 p.m. and we do have a quorum present. Beginning with some items of community interest. So on Friday, June 30th, we're going to have our Independence Celebration and Fireworks event at our Haslet Community Park. And that is a great time here in the City of Haslet. And then on Monday, June 3rd, the regularly scheduled Haslet City Council Meeting is going to be canceled, and the next meeting will be held on July 17th. And then all city offices in the library will be closed on June 4th in observance of Independence Day. And we still have some great employment opportunities with the City of Haslet. We got grounds and parks maintenance worker positions. We got water maintenance positions available. And there is an audiovisual office systems and digital media technician position open. So if you have interest in those, see the City of Haslet's website for more information on it and on how to apply. Moving on, consent agenda. We have our minutes from our May 30th regular meeting. Is there any discussion before making a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion been second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Yeah, one abstention. Moving on, discuss, consider, and act. Actually, let me back up. I got two speaker comment requests. Would you like to speak to these during the agenda item that they reference? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on, agenda item 5A, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the amended site and landscape plan for 112 Harmon Road. And we're beginning with our staff presentation.
Chairman, Kadish, and members of the commission, just several things I want to make mention of. And first off, this site is just south of Westport Parkway, west of Harmon Road, which is pointed out there on the screen. And the property to the north, right at the intersection, is owned by the city of Fort Worth, and then to the south of them is Hillwood, and then to the east of them is also owned by the city of Fort Worth. And if I can, I'd like to go to slides, if I could. This is property. on my. Common road. Common road. That is correct. Not till it's out of the two. You can see it. At Westport Park. There's the Parkway. One of the reasons utility department things will right about this much easier. The applicants for this project are in the audience tonight. They're going to address several points that need to be addressed as far as the plan.
Hunter Melman. Address is 4925 Greenville Avenue, Suite 915, Dallas, Texas 75206. I'm speaking in support of this development. I believe we will go through the site plan a little bit later in this meeting and kind of iron out the final details. But the end user for this building is different than your typical speculative terminal. We have an end user who's devoted to their company and is devoted to making the external appearance of the building a lot more premium than your typical truck terminal, along with the screening of the truck court and especially the exterior facade. And we can go through the final details. I have some renderings to share later on throughout the course of the meeting, but I do speak in support of this.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When we were before you, I'm sorry, J.D. Salazar, 8587 West Bryn Mawr, Chicago, Illinois. When we were before you about a year and a half ago, we were here on a speculative project. We didn't have a tenant. We had no user. We were just trying to create a template for a user for any kind of user. Main Freight, which is our tenant, we have a signed agreement with them, is an international freight and logistics company They're in 26 countries. They've got 131 locations and about 13,000 employees. And one of the things that we like about them, this will be our third project. We're building one in Chicago for them, and we've got another one down in southeast Dallas County that we're building for them. They are very focused on their brand and what people think about them, especially their employees. This particular facility is going to have a commercial kitchen that serves all their employees for like no cost. So they're radically different than a lot of the other companies that we deal with in transportation. And when you see the elevations and the site plans that we're going to present to you, you'll see that this is really a Class A office building design with a dock on the end of it. So it's going to be something that you will really like in town. It will certainly be an addition to everything that we've got going on in Haslet. Oh, and by the way, Morris mentioned the location that's right along Westport Parkway. It's about I think about 11 or 12 acre spot that the city of Fort Worth owns. Those are all going up for sale. We made an offer on that piece just today. Right, that's the piece between us and Westport Parkway. Yeah, just I didn't know if you knew that, but yeah, they're going to sell them, and they're all industrial. Oh yeah, sure. Sure. But I would also say, just to address the landscaping, in keeping with Main Freight's character and desire for branding, that we fully expect to provide a more robust landscape plan than the minimum that's required. You know, things like wrought iron fencing along Harmon, trees, just something much more than just the very basics that you saw in the plan that we submitted a year and a half ago. Yeah, just to describe a little bit further, the level of amenities that we're putting into this development is far beyond what we normally put into an LTL facility, a less than truckload facility. It will be the nicest looking freight terminal in North Texas, no doubt. I'm sorry, sir. I think that's all we brought with us, but we can supplement whatever questions you have. Just let us know, and we'll get it over to you.
All right, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against? Anybody online? Okay. And recognizing there's nobody in the audience, we'll close the public hearing and we'll move to discussion and consideration and action and a recommendation. Is there any truck washing activity that's going to take place on this property? No. At some point in the future then? Okay.
I would like to make note that part of this exercise with this company is they're going to rework the intersection up at Harmon Road and Westport Parkway, putting in stoplights because that's a very dangerous thing, and so they're working really hard with our engineering people to take care of that.
Okay, super.
Signalized.
So, Mr. Swanky, you know, I've talked a little bit about northbound versus southbound traffic out of this. So would that be more appropriate to bring up now, or would it be more appropriate on the next agenda item?
I think it's appropriate to bring it up now because it's part of the site plan, and I'd already mentioned it to them, you know, to direct the traffic to the north towards Westport, and they've already incorporated a lot of that in their design where they're going to have really tight radiuses. If you want to go south, it'd be almost impossible, you know, wider radiuses going to the north, but they can address that.
And Mike Anderson isn't out online? Okay. So my biggest concern with the site plan as I see it today is that the way the curb cuts are done here onto Harmon Road, it will allow a truck to turn right whether you tell them to or not. That the possibility is that they could turn right. And that road is not intended for truck traffic at all. There was a project way before you guys ever came before us wanting to do something similar on this property, and everything that was discussed in that project was about radial turns that would force a truck to turn to the north and prevent them from turning to the south. And I think that we need to incorporate features for the entrances and exits that encourage a left turn out of property only. Okay, good. Yeah, I spoke with him this morning, so I'm glad he was able to connect with you. So would you say that drive is going to be perpendicular to Harmon, or is it going to be a curve? Because I really don't like the perpendicular cut to the curb, because, like it or not, a truck will try to make that turn. I think it should be a radial turn, you know, that it encourages only going to the north. Right. If they're both radial, if they're both sweeping, you know, radial turns into the property, that shouldn't be an issue.
Maybe with a radiuses turn that way, plus a big rock at the intersection there, or else they'll just jump a curb.
Yeah,
Potentially.
but
So,
with that plus some signage, you know, that should help ensure that people only exercise the intersection that you guys are developing, rather than going down a road that's not designed for it, never was intended for truck traffic. Yep. And then the only other thing I had a question about, so you already talked about the fencing, which is noted here. So, and it refers to chain link fence here. You said you're going to amend that to be either wrought iron or cast aluminum fencing or something like that? Okay. Okay. And then the dog leg that goes off to the north, which is part of this property, there is no plans in the future to cut a drive off of that, is there, and dump traffic right onto Westport Parkway? Okay. Okay. Okay, good.
Just a quick note, if they would ever want to put a driveway out there, they would be back in front of this board.
Correct.
No, it's gonna be a ditch.
Will the two driveways that you have, will they be one way in, one way out, or you go in and out, whichever way? Did I hear that Harmon was gonna be improved so that they can make the turn on Harmon, make the turn to go in? Or will Harmon remain just a single lane, two lanes? I was just curious because if a truck's pulling out of there and there's a vehicle, there wouldn't be enough room to park out, correct? The way it is now, what's showing. So there will be.
So can I show you, actually, let me show everybody up here first, when I talk about a radius turn. Right. So it's actually drive, the whole drive.
How do they get in?
Look, of course,
They can only enter.
yeah, they're only coming in. So,
Well, you don't want them to go to.
Right now, I don't know what the go into the farm and walk off. So I'm not sure. If they go around there. Nobody feels living.
okay. Any other questions for the applicant or city staff?
On your rendering, is this an old rendering? Because I don't see, is there not another building here that you show on the plan? But it's.
And there's no drainage or filtration anywhere in the plan to suggest that they might do that later? Okay. And if they came back later and wanted to add this would come back as a new,
Yeah, if we take it off that drawing, which I'm understanding you're gonna do, is that correct?
okay. Okay. So the removal of the proposed building in the site plan is not a problem because it's not gonna happen. So if we ask to have that removed in the drawing set, you would be okay with that? Okay, thank you. Yeah, it needs to be in our motion.
Drainage,
It needs to be in our motion, right?
that would be the biggest.
Yeah.
He'd be better.
Yeah, it's all conditional. Yeah, that's why I asked about filtration systems and, containments. And if, if it does, then we'll we'll go through the process of, whatever those changes look like when they come up. Yep, super. All right. And this, everything is going to be in this yard is going to be on a chassis, right? We're not stacking containers. Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah, if somebody would want to stack containers there, it requires an SUP. You cannot
Right.
stack.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any misunderstandings. Okay.
I assume the trucks that will be in there, they're all different companies, or is it just the one company?
And do we actually have a picture of the full landscape plan that we can put up here today? I didn't see that in our packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw small pieces of it, but I didn't see the full landscape plan that showed every shrub,
I think it's in 2 pieces. West part. There you go. Right. Oh, there's cool.
All right, well, maybe I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't see this, so is there more the plan than what this shows, or is this? Yep. Okay, and you've reviewed this, and there's no requirements on the northern or southern or western
No,
boundaries,
not in
right?
between the 2 industrial.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else have any questions? Are there any other questions before we make a motion? I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to City Council approval of the amended site plan, or the site and landscape plan for 112 Harmon Road, subject to the following conditions being met. If they're not met, then the recommendation would be that they be resolved before approval. First, that all entrances and exits from the property onto Harmon Road are radial in shape, so to restrict traffic from turning south onto Harmon Road and encourage only northbound exit from the property. Second, that there's signage on the property to reflect left turn only as they exit. That the fencing facing Harmon Road be shown to be wrought iron fencing and not chain link as current. And the proposed building on the site plan be removed from the site plan, and the updated plans be submitted to the city. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, the motion made and seconded, all in favor? Okay, motion passes, thank you. Moving on, agenda item 5B, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of a final plat for 112 Harmon Road. We'll begin with our staff presentation.
Yeah, Chairman and members of the board, this is a reflection of the site plan that you just saw, and except the construction plans and the plat are, there's actually two components. There's the on-site civil plans that have been under review, and they've been looked at by our engineer, and he has no problems with them. And then there's the off-site, which they're still tweaking just a little bit. I haven't talked to Mr. Anderson today, but they're still tweaking a few of those things. And because it's pretty complicated when you start talking about the intersection of Westport Parkway. And so we're working through all those situations, but the staff is recommending that you forward it to the council with a recommendation of approval. And one of the things that I just also want to note is there's a lighting plan they're preparing, and they're going to be submitting that to Mr. Anderson too, and we'll make sure all the lights are down lighting and they're not splashing over everybody else's properties. And that's it.
Is there any additional information you would like to share on this agenda item? Okay, so we don't have to have a public hearing on this one, do we? It's the final plat. Yeah, so moving into discussion, any questions for the applicant or city staff? So I do have maybe a question on your lighting plan. You said it's going to be photoelectric, and you're going to have, did you say a 1/2 foot candle at the property line? 0.1. And then everything's going to be interior facing. There's not going to be any wall pack units on the building that's going to cast light off to the side. Okay, and I think even those are expected to be shielded at the horizontal so that they don't cast light up. Yeah. Okay. So I'll refer back to the project that was targeted for this property many years ago. We talked about motion sensing light. This is a big property in Haslet, and it's going to create light, and it's going to create a glow over there. Any opportunity to use motion sensing lighting out in the lot? I mean, if there's no trucks moving around in the lot, is there an opportunity to maybe have some of that light, either reduce in intensity or shut down so that it's not casting so much glow over the city of Haslet?
We'll ask.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they were on motion sensing, I work for DHL. We have, 2 multi-million square foot buildings, and obviously we don't run all the lights and so we don't run all the lights at the same time. And I just wonder, is there opportunities in a large, lot like this? Is there opportunities to have some of that be more, motion sensing light, activated, rather than just be simply a photo cell? Yeah, I mean, it would be a good energy conservation project for them as well, so that, they get some, credit for some of those initiatives. All right, thank you. And I have no other questions. The motion And Mr. Spanky, should the motion contain the same elements that were included in the last motion? The same things about the radius and the everything? Okay. So we don't need to we don't need to repeat any of those from your perspective. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we recommend to City Council the approval of a final plat for 112 Harmon Road.
Okay, there's a motion recommending approval. Or is there a second?
I will second it.
Motion is seconded. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming in and sharing and giving us a little insight of your project. All right, super. Fantastic. All right, moving on, status of current developments. You can look at the information that was provided for us, so I don't know that we need to go through any of that. Certainly don't need agenda item 7 this evening, or 8. And is there anything that you want to tell us about future agenda items?
We do have several things in the work, but we're not at liberty to tell you exactly what they are at this point. But there's more activity. I think things are really heating up in Haslet, so there are a lot of things that'll be coming down through the pipe.
Okay, good. I would like to encourage for future agenda items a review of our screening and fencing to make that much clearer for somebody to interpret. But currently, there's really not a clear definition of commercial screening requirements. There's some reference to non-residential, but it's not something that clearly says retail or commercial screening requirements. It all kind of is interlaced together, and there's a reference back to what is essentially the residential, and so everything is based on the residential standard. So it would be, it'd be easier for people to interpret what they can and can't do.
Just to further that, in some parts of the ordinance that says, masonry or something that matches the building, and then if you look at the zoning definition, it says it could be landscape, berms, and other things. So there's really I think a mismatch. It can be very confusing to somebody coming in and say, what do I do? We want to be able to tell them. Yeah.
So if we could, either schedule some time, maybe a workshop topic around that, I think would be good. Or if somebody wants to do some work on that, bring some recommendations to us to consider, that would be great. Yeah, all our ordinances are online if you want to read them. All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, anything you want to add?
I'd like to make a motion.
We are adjourned. The time is 7:10 p.m.
Mr. Swank, I have a question.
This conference is no longer being recorded.